Well, Lord, honey, children, how is everybody today? I know y'all can't see me yet, but how is everybody today, honey? Today is Wednesday. It's the big day after the election, and we still don't know anything, children. I know, but I do know one thing. I know that we're going to have an awesome time tonight. I know that we're going to learn some really cool fall things tonight with food and stuff. And don't forget, we still have our fall shirts for sale on the website at southerncountryBling.com. So thank you all for tuning in. And I know you all can see my ring light and my glasses. Somebody said I looked like an alien last week when we done this, but it's just the way that ring light picks up, so don't think nothing about it. But, all right, guys. So today we are going to be talking about another fall dish that I really love. And this is something that we know that most of us eat at least one day a week, but we're taking it to a fall level. We're going to be making apple cider donuts, and the best part of this, children, is it is an easy recipe. Now, if you have questions, we have Miss Lisa back with us again this week, so if you have questions, just ask those questions, and she will read them off to me, and we'll answer as many as we can. Now, of course, along the way tonight on the Country Bling Cooking Show, children, we will have all kinds of updates. We will have all kinds of news to tell you. We have some really fun things coming up, so make sure you stay tuned. Do what? Question already.
Will this be turned into an IGTV, like an Instagram TV to watch later?
So this is turned into an IGTV, but you can also find it on Facebook the next day, and a couple days after this, you can always get it on the new YouTube channel, which is Country Bling Cooking. So you need to go to YouTube and subscribe to Country Bling Cooking, because all the videos we do goes on YouTube as well. So you can see it on Instagram Live, you can see it on IGTV, you can see it on Facebook video after today, and you can get it on the YouTube channel, which is Country Bling Cooking. So we put it on several different places so that after the live is over with, you can still find the video. And then, of course, our recipes are always over on our website at southerncountryBling.com. Now, there is categories. You need to go to the blog recipe title up at the top and click that. And then there is subtitles. It's like breads, there's side dishes, main dishes, whatever that is. Most of the time, you can kind of tell from the recipe which one it's going to be under. This one today is under, I think it's going to be under main dishes and possibly breads too. So you can always find them there. And if you can't find something, you can always send me a message, and I can tell you where it's at, or I can copy it and send it to you. So if you can't find it on social media somewhere, you can find it on YouTube. And if you can't find it on YouTube, then you can find it on southerncountryBling.com now, children. I'm telling you. All right, so I love fall. What I love about fall, honey, children, is I love the warm spices. I love the apple cider. I love apples. We talked about this in one of the cooking shows previous about different things I love about fall. So this is just another one of my fall favorites, and I'm taking a good old Southern staple. Well, it's more than Southern. It's all over the place, children. A good staple, let's say, a donut, but I'm jazzing it up with apple cider, not only in the donut, but also in the glaze. And they're fun to make. They're fun to eat. This is a great recipe to do with your family. This is a great recipe to have to use for, like, say, the morning of Thanksgiving, because you're in the kitchen cooking and stuff and you need something quick. You can make these the night before, reheat them a little bit in the microwave or the oven the next morning, and honey, children, you've got you a good Thanksgiving breakfast. I'm telling you what. So, all right, now, before we get started, I do want to tell you all to make sure that you jump onto the website and get your fall apparel. We have still plenty of fall apparel. It's going fast, but there's still a little bit there. And this Saturday in Grayson, Kentucky, right here in my hometown, down at All American Graphics, Kentucky State of Mind and myself is doing a Christmas open house. Now on Saturday it's from 10 to 3 and I will be there signing shirts. We will have the whole Christmas line for sale. All Christmas is going to be a 10% off. All of our fall is going to be, I think it's, you can check on Instagram and Facebook, but I think the fall is like maybe 50% off, something like that, because we want to move fall out so we can get more Christmas in or more holiday in. And then we're going to have all kinds of specials. And also you'll be able to find right there my holiday line of Country Bling little bundt cakes for sale that day at a very special price. So we're going to be selling by the each, or we have a pack of 3 that is mixed that you'll be able to buy at a special price as well. So, want to stop on by for that. So, alright, so let's get into this apple cider donut. Now, I'm telling y'all, I love me some donuts. Now, there's different donuts. There's ones without holes, there's ones with holes, there's Long Johns, there's Crullers, there's all different kinds. This recipe has no rise time to it. It's super quick, it's super easy, it's super fun to make, like I said. So, with that in mind, let's get started. All right, we're going to start with our wet ingredients. Now, I have here is my half and half, or you can use milk. The recipe says milk, but you can use half and half, up to you. Apple cider. Now, let's talk about some apple cider just a minute, children. Apple cider is one of those things that you can get 2 different ways. You can get a fresh apple cider that is doesn't have any spices in it. It's just apple juice that is squeezed down out of the apples, and it has this murky color to it. There's no like cinnamon or clove or nutmeg or ginger or anything in it. And then there is spiced apple cider. I love to use spiced apple cider in my sweet cooking and regular fresh apple cider in my savory cooking. So today we're using a spiced apple cider. Into your milk right there. Lord, I'm already clanging. We have some oil. Now that oil, you can use different types of oil. I use either peanut oil or canola oil. Sometimes I use olive oil. Just depends on what I'm making. Tonight we're using just some good old canola oil. So then we have our vanilla. Now if you all notice, we don't have any eggs up in here. You don't need any eggs in this whatsoever. So you just want to mix that up a little bit. Alright, that looks good. Just mixing it together. Now we're going to do our dry ingredients. In my bowl here, I just have plain flour. Now into my plain flour, I'm going to add salt, baking powder, and cinnamon. Even though the apple cider has cinnamon in it, children, we still want to add a little bit more cinnamon to that. We're just bumping up the flavor. This is flavor building on top of flavor, building on top of flavor on top of flavor. So, alright, so now we want to... Question?
Is it pasteurized cider?
So the question is it pasteurized cider? Yes, you want it to be... Well, it just depends. If you buy it at the farm today and bring it home and use it and keep it in the refrigerator, you're good. Because some apple farm sells it just straight fresh that day. But I would use, this one that I'm using is pasteurized. It's one that I've got from one of my local apple farms, and they do pasteurize, so yes. And it's totally up to you. If you want to use the fresh that is non-pasteurized, go for it, children. If you want to use the pasteurized, honey, go for that too. So, alright, so now in here, I just whisk in, you know, and always, most recipes will tell you to, sift it. Honey, those sifters are hard to find, so you can just do a whisk and it's perfectly fine. Now, I've made, before we get to that, now, if you want, the recipe doesn't call for yeast, but if you're looking for that good old-fashioned yeasted donut, all you have to do is add a teaspoon of yeast to your flour mixture. And I want that yeast flavor in there. We're not really using it for a raising agent this time. We're using it as a flavor component. So, if this was a yeasted donut, it would take a long time to rise. you would have to mix it and cover it and let it rise, and then punch it down and let it rise again, and then turn it out and knead it and let it rise again, then cut it, let it rise, and then fry it. So that's a long way, that's a long process for a wonderful treat. Today, this one I'm showing is quick and simple. There's no rise time to it whatsoever. Once she hits the hot oil, honey, she rises up like a cow getting up in the morning in the sun. Oh, Lord, I'm throwing flowers everywhere. I'm throwing flour everywhere. All right, so now I've just made me a well up in the middle of my flour here, okay? We're going to add our wet ingredients to this. All right, now when you go to doing this, I want y'all to notice that I go from the edge and I bring it all in here to the wet, the edge of the wet dough, and bring it right in there together. Question.
About your bundt cakes.
Yes.
Are the bundt cakes available for interstate shipping, or can you only purchase them locally?
The bundt cakes that we have for this weekend, they will only be available for purchase here. They won't be able to be shipped. It's a totally different bundt cakes than what's online for sale. This is the holiday line. We are trying to get the holiday line on Gold Belly as quick as possible. But there is one. There is one, but we're not shipping them this weekend. So this weekend is a walk-in, buy the bundt cakes and walk out. There's no shipping on them this weekend. But stay tuned because we're working on some shipping options for later on. So we do ship with Gold Belly right now, but you never know what might be in the works to come, children. So, and I can't wait for y'all to see. The Christmas line of shirts, honey children. They're so much fun. They are so much fun. They are super fun. Alright, so now we have it to this point, and see how it's kind of crumbly and it doesn't look like it's going to come together? You want to pick it up, and if you can make a ball out of that, then you know it's ready to rock and roll. It doesn't need any more moisture, and see, it makes a ball. It looks like it ain't coming together, honey children, but it is. All right, now, we want to dust or flour our surface here. We're just going to flour it a little bit. And then we're going to dump all of this, about half of this out here. We're just going to dump half of it. We're going to do half at a time. And you want to just kind of bring it together with your hands. Oh, Lord, I forgot to put my wet paper towel under my board and it's moving everywhere. Now, you're not really kneading it. You're just wanting to bring it together with your hands into a ball. Now, we're not using a rolling pin. We're not going to be using a glass. We're not going to be using anything like that. We are using, let's turn our oil on here, and we're looking for a medium temperature. You're looking for about 350 on your oil. So, now once it comes to a ball like this, like you see here, you want to take your hands and you want to, I swear that's a little dry looking. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to put just a little bit more moisture in there. It's a little drier than the one I done today. And honey children, it's drier than popcorn, you know what, up in here in Kentucky right now. So, a little bit more. If it looks a little too dry to you, then just add a little bit more apple cider to it and make sure that it comes. There she comes. Now she's coming together. Question.
When are you going to show us your Christmas decorations?
Oh, my Christmas. So the question is when I'm going to show y'all my Christmas decorations. So be on the lookout for that. It'll be before Thanksgiving. So hopefully I'll get to be able to film it all next week. I've got it totally done. Now that's what we're looking for. I've got it all totally done and I can't wait to show y'all. So be on the lookout. We'll try to do that next week. So be watching, honey children, because we're going to do it. All right, now that's more what you're looking like. If it looks like it's a little dry, you can add some more apple cider. It's no problem. So you just want to take your hands and you just want to pat it out into a circle or a square. And you want this to be about a half inch thick. And you know that the humidity level outside and the moisture level in the air affects the flour and recipes a whole lot. So sometimes that's enough liquid that the recipe calls for, and sometimes it isn't. If it's super dry outside, then it's going to take a little bit more liquid than what a recipe calls for, especially when you're talking about doughs. If it's like rainy outside or super humid, sometimes it doesn't take as much. So it never hurts to have a little extra liquid on hand. And just like I did, I just added a little bit extra apple cider there, and children should come together. Look at that. Question.
Can you repeat your YouTube channel?
Oh, my YouTube channel is Country Bling Cooking, and that's COOKIN with the little ch above the N. There's no G on that. It's Country Bling Cooking, COOKIN, okay? That's on YouTube. So there's videos on there from season 1. We're in season 2 now. Alright, so now that's what it should look like once you get it out into... So see, I've got that. It's about a 1/2 inch thick there. Y'all see that? And it looks like a thick pizza crust. Now, let's get us a towel over here and get our hands all cleaned off. Alright. So now let's talk about cutters while our oil is getting hot. Let's talk about cutters. Now there's all kinds of cutters. An old-fashioned donut cutter is round and has this thing in the middle that cuts out the hole. Now this one is one that my mom had that's the hole cutter for a donut, and it used to have a little handle on it. Well, the handle got broke off years ago. And this is just a normal everyday biscuit cutter. And you can use anything. You can use a jar. If you wanted a small donut, you could use like a jar like this and cut it, and then cut a hole out in the middle. If you want a bigger donut, then you can use a bigger biscuit cutter. You could even make this into shapes for like the holidays by using a cookie cutter. So, but we're going to use our biscuit cutter tonight. And out of this dough, I'm going to get about 4, looks like. But have no fear, children. All them extra pieces, you're going to wad that up and pat it back out, and you're going to make some more like that. So then I'm going to take my whole cookie cutter, or my whole donut cutter, and I'm just going to make me some holes up in my donuts. Now, if you want to make these into a filled donut, you want to leave them whole like this. So once they fry, they're like this, and then you fill them. We're not doing a filled donut tonight. Although this would be good with my bourbon cream, my bourbon pastry cream up in there, wouldn't it? Oh, Lord, honey, that'd be good. Now, if you can't get your hole out of there, that's why them 2 little holes is right there, is to take you something and whack it or pop it out. There she comes. Question?
Can you make the dough the night before?
So the question is, can you make the dough the night before? I wouldn't. Not this dough. This dough is not one that you can make the night before. It will dry out too easily on you. So, and you've seen, guys, it don't take any time to well, come on out there. It don't take hardly any time to make this dough. So, you know, you could make it the night before, but I'm afraid it'll dry out on you, so I probably wouldn't. So that's what you end up with is your donut. Alright, so now I'm going to drop just a little piece of this oil down a little piece of that dough. And she's almost ready. Let's turn her up just a hair. She's almost ready. Alright, so now once you get all them holes cut out, you want to either keep these holes, you want to keep these little holes and make you some donut holes, or you can put them back into the dough and you can bring it back to the ball. And make sure you do this with a light hand, because if you have a rough hand or a heavy hand when you're working for dough, it's going to turn out real tough. You just want to do a light hand, and you just want to bring it back together and mash it back out. And we'll get us another maybe 2 donuts out of this one as well. Now, you could also mash this out into a big rectangle and cut these into squares. and then make a hole in the middle and have a square donut with a round hole in the middle. Now, wouldn't that be neat, honey? That'd be neater than a possum trying to find a garbage can up in a place that ain't got no garbage can. That really didn't make much sense, but that's all right. All right, so now we got us 2 more. We'll put that extra dough over there, and we want to get our holes up in here. This is so fun. Like, you can do this with the kids. You could make the dough and then have the kids come in and decide what shape they would like their donut in. You could also have them to cut the holes out of the donuts. That would be fun for them. If you have a brand new biscuit cutter, before you cut, or donut cutter, either one, before you cut it, you want to dip it in flour. This is one I use pretty much on a daily basis, so it's pretty seasoned to where it won't stick to the dough. Alright. We're getting there. We're getting there. So in my Dutch oven here, I have about 1 inch to 1.25 inches of oil in here, and I am using to fry in today, I'm using canola oil. Simply because the peanut oil, sometimes when you fry peanut donuts in peanut oil, sometimes it can leave them just a tad bit greasier than what I like. I usually do peanut oil more for frying of meats, vegetables, things like that, and canola oil for more delicate things like doughs and fried biscuits and things like that. If I'm doing like onion rings, I do more in this. So this is all, I love it. So and if you notice too, it doesn't take very many ingredients at all. All right, our oil is hot. So I was going to show you too. If you want to know if your oil is hot, you take a wood spoon and put it into the oil, and if you see bubbles coming out around it, then you know it's hot enough. Now, I can't lift it up so y'all can see it, I don't think. Let's see if I can, here's my towel. Let's see if I can get this up to where you all can see the bubbles around the thing. See the bubbles around my handle here on my spoon? Then you know that the oil is hot when you do that. If you don't have a kitchen thermometer. Alright, so we don't want to overcrowd our pan. We just want to drop these donuts in very gentle. We're just going to fry 3 at a time. Because if you overcrowd the pan, it drops the oil temperature, guys. And if you're dropping the oil temperature, then your donuts are not going to fry up the way you want them to fry up. They're going to be set in the oil longer, so then they start acting like a sponge, and you don't want no oily donuts, children. That ain't good, honey. Oily donuts ain't good at all. Alright, so let's get our work surface cleaned off a little bit, because we like to keep our work surface clean. And I'm just going to set these unfried donuts over here, and we'll fry them in a minute. Oh, and they're popping up, and they're looking so pretty. Oh, they're looking so pretty. Y'all can see them right there. Now, if you have a pair of tongs, children, you can use a pair of tongs for this. If you don't have a pair of tongs, then you can use a fork for this to flip them over. Oh, these are going to be so good. Oh, these are going to be so good. Now, you have to remember that this is a quick donut. It's not going to be one of those yeasted donuts that rises up real big and fluffy and is almost hollow in the middle. That's not what this donut is. This is almost like making a biscuit dough and then turning it into a donut. So while that we are letting our donuts fry, let's make our glaze, honey children. So I have my powdered sugar in my bowl, and I'm going to add some vanilla. Ooh, vanilla. You can't, Milli Vanilli, honey. You got to have you some vanilla up in there. Question.
Is this considered a cake donut?
So the question is this considered a cake donut? No, it is not. This is not a cake donut. This is more like an old-fashioned biscuit donut. I don't know if you all, my granny used to make donuts, and she would use biscuit dough, and that's what this is more like. This is more like a biscuit dough donut. So, all right, and then we have a little bit of apple cider up in there. And we're just going to mix that in with our powdered sugar. Now this glaze will be, end up being about a medium thickness. You just want it enough so when you dip the donuts in and pull it up, that it just glazes the donut. Not that it covers it like an icing or a fondant icing. We don't want that. We just want to glaze our donuts. So now I didn't put any cinnamon in the glaze simply because I want that apple cider flavor to come through in this. And that's what I'm looking for. Because these are, after all, apple cider donuts, ain't they, honey children? Alright, let's see how our donuts are done. Yeah, they're doing good. They almost ready. Almost ready. They're getting good and golden brown. See how golden brown they are right there? Oh, honey. They almost look like Youngin rings, don't they? Lord mercy, honey children. Alright, so this is what your glaze should look like. It should be silky smooth. It should create that ribbon off of it. Just like that. When you hold it up, you should have a ribbon that falls from your whisk or spoon. And I would, if you don't have a whisk, please invest in a whisk, honey children. You can use them for so many different applications. Question.
Could you put bourbon in that glaze?
Honey, you could most definitely put bourbon up in that glaze. You just add your little bourbon instead of like all apple cider. You could add half apple cider and half bourbon. Honey, children, you'd be good to go. Listen, oh my Lord, listen. I know y'all can talk about Christmas decoration. This year I done something new to the cabinets. As you all can see back here, I done bows on the cabinets to make my cabinet doors look like packages, honey, children. I just thought that was the neatest thing ever. Alright, so, yeah, these look good. Alright, so I just want to take them out and let them drain. Oh, I wish you all could smell these. You smell that cinnamon. You smell that apple cider in here. You smell that little bit of yeast that's in there. Oh my gosh, those look so good. Alright, so now we're going to put these last three in there. Put these other three. And if you need more than what this recipe makes, then just double the recipe. Okay, guys? Perfect. Wonderful. Listen, you could eat them. You know what this smells like? This smells like those elephant ears that you get at, like, say, the fall festivals and things like that, or the funnel cakes. This is what this dough smells like. Question.
Could you add apple into the donut? Grains of apple?
So the question is, can you add raw apples into this recipe? If you add raw apples into this recipe, you've got to remember that it doesn't take that long for these to fry, so your apples are not going to cook. So what I would do is I would grate half of an apple into the batter before I mix it up. And then that way you're getting that little even more of apple flavor in there, and then it'll cook the apple. If you'll just peel it and grate half of an apple on a grater into that, would work wonderful for this. Alright, so now I have a tray, just a baking sheet, and I have a wire rack. Now if you don't, oh Lord, honey, children, Lord mercy, don't be making noises up in here. If you don't have this, then you can just glaze them and put them back onto a plate or something like that. But I like to do it like this just to keep them, so the glaze will run down over them, and then it'll run off of them. Alright, so these are still a little warm, which is what you want. And you just want to dip it in the glaze and swirl it around a little bit. And then pull it up and watch that glaze drip off. And then just place it right on there. Question.
Could you use applesauce?
If you use applesauce, it's going to alternate your recipe. Because the applesauce would work like the liquid for the recipe, so I probably would not use applesauce. That's a whole nother ball game when you start talking about applesauce in a recipe, because the applesauce usually replaces eggs and oil. So if you want to use applesauce, then you would take out the oil in the recipe, but it would be a different measurement. So We'll play around with applesauce in a recipe like that so that you all can see it coming up soon. Applesauce, unless it is spice sweetened applesauce, is not going to give you much of a flavor in this. So I probably wouldn't do the applesauce. Alright, so I was going to dust these with a little cinnamon. So let's get us a little cinnamon up out of the cabinet here. I keep all of my spices and seasonings in mason jars with lids, and then I have little labels that goes on that tells me what they are. Like this one is cinnamon. So, and I have different sizes. Like this one's cinnamon. I also have here, I have some sage, and this is like a jelly jar, mason jar. Just different sizes, different shapes and stuff. But I always bring home my spices and stuff that I buy at the store, and I put them in my mason jars and put the lid on them, simply because it will keep you be able to keep the spices and the seasonings a lot longer. So, alright, and it makes them fresh, keeps them fresh a lot longer too. Alright, so now I'm going to get out my other donuts, and as you all can see, once that oil got hot, honey, she's just like a hooker working the corner. She's hot and ready to go. So once you drop them in there, you need to be ready to do your thing, honey, once you put them up in that oil there. So, alright, we're going to let these cool just a minute, and then we'll dip them too. Like I said, we're going to add a little bit of cinnamon to the tops of these right here. I'll get us a little dish over here, and we'll pour us a little cinnamon out in here just so that we can grab a hold of it and sprinkle it. You could most definitely do this with pumpkin pie spice with the apple cider as well, and then you would have even more fall. But I wanted the apple to really be the star here of this dish. So, alright, so these are good and well, they're not cool, but you still want them a little bit warm when you glaze them, and I'll show you in a minute why. Because the glaze, once it's heated up, it runs down the sides, and of course that's the best part. Gosh, that's hot. Ooh, Lord, that's hot. Honey, talk about burning your fingertips off, honey, children. And you just want to swirl it around a little bit when you get it up in that glaze. Just swirl him around. Pick it up, let it drain. If it's too hot, honey, don't let it drain very long, because, honey, she's going to burn your fingers. Alright, so let's get our glaze over here out of the way. Alright, so now that we have, and I want to show you all this, once that you see this glaze, it gets real shiny. So this is the glaze that sets up on your donuts, honey. They're going to be just a little bit like what I call a crunchy glaze. Alright, so now we're just going to take our donuts, and we're just going to place them on our beautiful little platter. We'll get our donuts in here. Children, these look so good. I can't wait to get into these, honey child. Let's get this one right here. Alright, and then we're just going to dust these babies. I've got one right here I'm going to put on a plate that we're going to taste. Listen, last week when I done the fried taters and onions, I was so excited about eating them. I forgot to take a picture to put on the blog, honey children. I'm telling you what, I was crazy. Alright, we just want to sprinkle these with a little bit more of cinnamon, just a very, very little bit from way up high. Just get you a little bit of that cinnamon and just sprinkle it. And you want it on the tray too, because that just makes it pretty. And you know, we eat with our eyes first, but you're getting it on there, and then we're going to get us a little bit on here too. You don't want it too heavy, because then when you bite into it, it's going to be this big mouthful of cinnamon, and then it's going to be like super hot and all that stuff. So, alright, so there is our apple cider donuts, and we have another question.
The cinnamon, did you mix sugar in the cinnamon? Is it sugar, cinnamon?
So the question is, did I mix sugar in with the cinnamon that I'm sprinkling? You can, most definitely, but I did not, because we have a super sweet glaze on top, and I just wanted it more for the looks, so it doesn't have to be the sugar on there. You can do just the straight cinnamon, just don't do too much. So now let's open this baby up. Oh my gosh. Oh, you get the apple cider. Look at that. You get that apple cider. You can see the heat coming out of it. You get the apple cider. You get the cinnamon. It's good and warm. You get the apple cider You get the cinnamon. You get that little hit of that yeast that we put in there to get that yeasty flavor. Now, like I said, the recipe on the line does not have yeast in it. But if you get that recipe, you want to, off of there, you want to add a teaspoon of yeast to this recipe if you want that yeasty flavor. Oh, super, super, super delicious. It's not overly sweet simply because and I forgot to mention, in the flour, I already had my white sugar in the flour. So it was already mixed up in there. And then you have this sweet, beautiful glaze on the top of it that is silky smooth. And let me show you this too. If this is not enough glaze for you, the first dip, after you do the first dip and you let it cool, then you come in here and you dip it again. So then you get a double glaze on it. Now that's good. Sometimes I do a double glaze. Sometimes I don't. So, but you most definitely can, because you can see that's a thin glaze on those donuts. But, like I said, if you dip it again, then you're going to get a thicker glaze, okay? Oh my gosh, guys, this is perfect. I can't wait for y'all to try this apple cider donut. The apple cider comes through on this. The cinnamon comes through on this. There is nothing about this donut that doesn't scream, hey, look at me, honey children. I'm a fall donut, and you ain't never had nothing as good as this in your mouth. So, thank you all so much for tuning in tonight to the Country Bling Cooking Show. Make sure you jump over to the website, southerncountryBling.com, and get this recipe, my apple cider donuts. It'll be up very soon. The video will be up on Facebook tomorrow, and in a few days you can go on to the YouTube channel, which is Country Bling Cooking, and you can see it right there all again. Get the recipe, follow along with me, and make your own apple cider donuts. Honey children, I can't wait for you all to eat these. Listen, as I always say, it's made with love. It's made with a little bit of everything, honey children, from the Lord have mercy, I'm loving these so good I can't even talk. Honey children, it's made with love, it's made with spice, it's made with your two hands, which makes it even better. And honey, your family's just going to love it. Alright, until next week, if you have an idea that you want to see me make something, please send me a message, send me something to let me know what you all would like to see. And honey, we'll get it on for you as quick as we can. Alright, you go enjoy your donuts and get the recipe. I'm going to take the rest of mine, and I'm going to get on out of here and eat my donuts and sit, honey, with a cup of coffee and watch the leaves fall, because it is November after all, and the leaves are all just about gone. So, I love y'all, and I'll see y'all next week. Bye!